Hello, hello. Welcome to the Sagittarius new moon moon circles. So this is a call for members only, and we're having like some tech issues. Ecamm Live, I'm going to be syncing up with you guys in a minute because I've got a pro account, and for the last 3 ceremonies, I have felt anything but a pro because the software is just not doing what it says it is going to do. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stream live on here. And then members, you will get a link to this, and it'll just be me today. And then if anybody comes on, I will stop the live stream and go answer their questions, record that for you all just privately and send it to you that way. But if you just want to give me 1 second to make sure everybody knows where we are at. Hopefully you've just done the Sagittarius new moon ritual and the planting ceremony using your Foursquare, and it's your like piece of paper that you fold into fourths. You plant your micro and macro intentions. You plant your new intentions. You plant your intentions at the new moon, and then we harvest them at the full moon. So remember to plant 2 sets of intentions: a micro intention and a macro intention. Micro being anything you'd hope to manifest in the next 2 weeks, and macro being something that you hope to manifest in the next 6 months. And micro and macro are completely dependent on what you are manifesting. So what's micro to one person might be macro to another, and vice versa. All right, so let me run over and let our members know where to come and find us live. Does anybody else use Ecamm? Because I'm really kind of bummed out that it has been so difficult to use. I was having great success with it, and then I updated. I got a new new computer, and then I updated my Ecamm account. Like I got the upgraded account, and I'm just really struggling to use it. So Ecamm, I'm gonna yada 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 hit you guys up. Okay, members, now you should all have it. Apologies for all this. Okay, and let's get going. So if you guys have any questions, you can pop them into the live chat. Otherwise, we will just start. So the Sagittarius full moon, new moon, the Sagittarius new moon is a past lives ritual, which is really exciting. When I wrote this ceremony a few years ago, which disclaimer on any of the ceremonies, if I don't look like this, they're older, and you'll see a note down at the bottom that says, please refer to all CDC guidance and pandemic, norms. I just had a call this morning, actually, with somebody from the CDC for something I do in my parallel life, which is this same waking life. It's just a parallel thread that probably in like 6 months, I'll start sharing with you guys like what I've been up to for the last year. And outside of all things golden otter. And yeah, just listen to whatever the CDC has to say, use common sense, talk to your local friends and family members, and then, crowdsource your opinions from people that you trust. Don't believe everything you see and don't believe everything you read, but use your best judgment. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that today. Okay, so today's ritual, the Sagittarius full moon, new moon. I keep saying full. I don't like full. We're about to harvest something over here at Golden Otter, so I think I'm like already in my harvest energy. See, look, I'm even holding on to my harvest colors, which are like my fall colors. I tried to transition into my winter blues, and I was like, I just need a little bit more of my fall, my autumn moons. So the Sagittarius new moon ritual is about past lives, present or parallel lives, and then future lives. And we've got a really cool podcast guest in this ritual. Her name is Ann Jersh, and she does these future life meditations, which are really cool. I did one not so long ago for a future home, and I'm actually going to get ready to do it again because at the time I don't really know exactly what I was trying to like future vision. I just knew some of the brass tacks, like I want to be by water. I want to have good schools, all the usual things. But I couldn't see the specifics of it. So I'm actually going to go back and do that one again of hers. You can get the details in the podcast. And like, I believe I linked to that, Your Future Home. What is it called? Meditation, if you want, if you're moving by any chance, which if you are moving, it is a bad time to move right now. The housing market is tight, but if you were thinking about selling, now is a great time to sell. Okay. So what else are we talking about with these past and parallel lives? So this moon ceremony is about portals to past lives or alternate realities, like in a parallel existence. And we talk about these things called anushkuks, which are they're landscapes. They're cairns that dot the landscape in the Arctic, meaning they're made by indigenous peoples. People still make cairns. Hunters will make them. And people out in remote areas will make them. Sometimes you'll just see them, kids having fun. It's kind of like Hansel and Gretel, how you leave a cookie trail along the way to find your way back to wherever you're going. I grew up in Alaska in a subsistence culture where there was like hunting, fishing, berry gathering. I am not native Alaskan. I am native to Alaska, meaning I grew up there, and we, adopted a very Alaskan way of being, which is living off the land as much as possible, a deep respect for the animal and nature that we are surrounded, the animals that we, are surrounded with, and the nature that we live within, and how to always keep a symbiotic and respectful relationship with, the majesty of our home state, which can be bountiful and plenty and barren and scary. If you get stranded in a snowstorm, you don't want to be without like a charged battery or at least a tinfoil blanket. They've got these like heat blankets. And so that's a big part of like the Golden Otter community and the Lunar Manifestations community, is that we build in these layers of do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And that is taken so deeply from my cultural roots as an Alaskan, where if you said you were going to be somewhere, you were there. If you said you were going to help somebody, you helped them. If you passed somebody who needed help, you just stopped and did the right thing, because you never knew when the roles would be reversed. And so that's the culture, and that's the energy that we embody in the Lunar Manifestations Circle. And I'm speaking about it, welcome to all of the new Lunar Manifestations members. We've got a couple of you guys coming in because we only open the doors at the new moon. If you're a current member and you see anybody new pop up in the forum, if you could just say hello to them. So as a big reminder, you do not have to show up as your authentic soul self, meaning like, hi, I'm Autumn Seibel, and this is my whole life story in the forum. You can say, hi, I'm Golden Otter, and this is what I'm hoping to manifest, and this is what I'm hoping to harvest. These are some of my roadblocks, or these are some of my celebrations. You can show up as an avatar. You can show up as a character. You can show up using a pseudonym or a fake name. You can show up however you want and however it feels safe for you to show up, and start exploring these ideas of having innate spiritual gifts and kind of like what to do with them. Okay. So that's all the housekeeping we have. Welcome to all the new members. Hello to all of our current members. And thank you all for welcoming any of our new members. Really quick, I'm going to go check the green room and make sure that we don't have anybody calling in. Copying the link. I would post it here, but this is an open mic and I don't want the link to get out. Okay. Yep, it's working. Alrighty. So we're back. Okay, past, parallel, future lives. So an Anushkuk is a cairn that dots the landscape, that when you look through the central uprights, it's like it indicates a way forward. So just like Hansel and Gretel left like a trail of cookies to find their way out of the forest, Hunters also will do things like this. Like up in Alaska, you'll see, in Canada probably, and maybe other parts of the US, but I just know Alaska specifically because of the snow. If you go in on a trail and then it snows, you've completely lost your way. And so what hunters will do is they'll tie these like neon orange, I don't even know what the name of that rope is. It's like so ubiquitous. Anybody who's an Alaskan knows this rope. It's like a stretchy rope. It comes in like yellow and orange, and you put it around like a tree to mark your way, and it's neon orange because animals can't see that color, but humans can. And so they may not necessarily like realize there's something new in their territory. Bigfoot also does this, you guys. You know, I'm a big Bigfoot fanatic. That's how I plan to spend my retirement, just full bigfooting. Take it as a joke, take it as I'm serious. I prefer to live in a world where there's the possibility of discovering something totally new and unexplored. Recently in the news, there was some monuments that have been, or monoliths that have been dropping in like the middle of Utah. I've been so bonkers busy. This is how busy and wild 2020 is, you guys. There are monoliths being dropped in the deserts of Utah, and I haven't even gotten a chance to like do a Google deep dive. No conspiracy theories, no real news, no fake news. Haven't even gotten to look at it. I know it's there waiting. I know the aliens are there waiting for me. And I'm half joking and half serious because like when life gets real and gets heavy, it's nice to have these other ways of seeing and perceiving the world to open our brains up to using our imagination. And whether that imagination is completely inventive or that imagination is simply something to get us thinking towards something different so that we invite in new possibilities. And that is something I want to talk about maybe at a later time and maybe privately one-to-one if anybody's got a question. I shared previously in our members group, which this one's going to be live, so everybody who's watching now, hi. I'm actually putting together a vlog of a PTSD treatment that I'm going through right now. It's called TMS, which is cranial magnetic stimulation. It's really raw. It's really honest. And I'm putting it together because my privacy was kind of taken from me in the process of trying to get help, and not by anybody intentionally. It's just, best laid plans. And in order to get the help that I needed when I needed it, I had to just be completely transparent and honest about my journey. And so part of my, I guess, like healing from feeling a little bit more exposed and vulnerable than I was ready to at the time is I started a vlog. So I'm going to share that with you all when we get a second. But the reason why it relates to this idea of like Inushkuks and imagining like our past and our future or even parallel lives is that when we get depressed or when we suffer a trauma, our brains, so this is like our physical brains, and this is science. If you're a doctor, please either back me up or cite the articles. Don't just call me crazy woo-woo, like cite your proof, okay? Because that's how we move these conversations forward. This doesn't have to be a conflict. This can be truly a conversation. I want to learn more so I can do better. So if you are in the medical profession, help me out. And also please know that for anybody who's watching this, not a licensed medical professional, I'm just a human. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience and willing to share that experience with all of you in the event that it should help. I'm also under the care of licensed medical professionals who I'm getting all this information from. So I'm not just like inventing it or pulling it out of a hat. But essentially what happens and what I've been told on my healing journey is that depression, which PTSD is like a symptom of depression, or it's kind of like the really bad thing that happens after you get depressed, which I never considered myself a depressed person. I always which they say you're not a depressed person, you're a person with depression. But I think that there were certain events that I thought that I could just like duck under or climb over. I didn't have to like go through the uprights on them. And as much as my spiritual practice has always helped me with the existential part of grief, and I don't stay in the mourning phase of it for very long, I think that then my body and my soul, and my mind especially, couldn't quite catch up to the way that my spirit and my spiritual well-being was pretty solid, but my mental and my physical is like, wait, we want to catch up. And so it's like a balancing of all three. But essentially what happens is that your brain kind of starts to atrophy and it kind of closes down to new ideas, new thoughts, and new ways of being in order to protect yourself. so that you eventually just feel like you're going through like mud, trying to do even the bare minimum, even things that used to make you happy. And a lot of that is because our imagining systems have started to close in on themselves. And we're not sending out kind of, Abraham Hicks calls them rockets of desire, but it's like rockets of thought, rockets of inquiry, rockets of new ideas or new way of being in the world. And that can lead to atrophy, of our brain and our ways of interpreting new stimuli and taking on new challenges and things like that. And so that's why I always think it's really important to maintain imagination, even if aliens are or aren't real, probably are. Even if Bigfoot is or isn't real, I hope it is. I like to spend at least some of my time imagining it instead of getting on social media or the news. I don't watch TV. So if there's anything happening in the world, like unless a friend has called me and said, hey, do you know this is happening? I'm worried about you. Like do this. Then, or my spouse or somebody, I'm not really paying attention. And then I'm kind of only in control of my bubble of information. I understand that not everybody can live in that way, but there are certain things that you can. And I challenge you to do this, consciously choose to turn off. Even if I'm one of them, even if I'm like bothering you and or just taking up a part of your day that I don't need to, turn me off right now. Like go find something else. But whatever it is, make sure it's something that you enjoy and that you love and that lights you up. If I'm not it, that's totally cool. I was gonna hang like these lights later, so like you could stick around for that. But if not, like don't even worry. I was also gonna go through that and talk some more about this. But again, like what else do I have to like keep you around in this? But again, like go somewhere else if I'm not for you. Okay, so that's why keeping an imagination and our ability to imagine is so important. And past and future lives, what does that have to do with anything? The future life meditation that I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this with Andrew, really cool. We had a really fun podcast where I went and met my future self. We talk about the idea of our future selves actually being what some people call angels or guides. I do believe that is true to some extent. I can think back to different versions of myself, especially when I was young and not really in control of my spiritual gifts or really unable to understand what they were or how to, heaven forbid, use them to my own benefit. And I know that a future version of me, like the mother version of me who knew that I would have children someday in this lifetime was like, hey girl, don't make that decision. Walk this path instead. Come with that, choose this door instead. Looking out for me. And I always thought, I've got these angels and through these guided meditations that Ann Jersh and I were doing and discussing her book, which is Imagining Your Future You. Sorry. And we recorded this a couple months ago. Actually, we recorded at the Sagittarius full moon like 6 months ago. That's how these things work. That's really funny. I didn't even make that connection. That was 6 months ago. And I looked into this idea and I met my future self like in a very real way. And so now she's like kind of this like moon goddessy avatar that floats around that I'm like, dang, if that is real, sweet. I cannot wait to sync up with that version of my lived experience. And if it's all just a figment of my imagination, what is it in that imagining that calls to me? I actually just got a member on. We must be having tech issues. I'm going to solve this. I will solve this. Okay. So anyways, hey there, we've got tech issues. Can you check the link to the members only Sagittarius new moon? If you go into the comments, or I'm sorry, into the video description, you'll see the link where we're live. I'm going to have to troubleshoot this later, but I didn't want to hold it up. Thanks. Okay. Sorry, guys. We're still transitioning over here. So anyways, it's like, what about her is calls to me. And long story short, I made a total faux pas the other day. I was on a live Zoom call with like 100 other people, maybe more. We got put into these breakout groups where our cameras got turned on and we did our little breakout exercise. And then we got put back into the main room and the main presenter was speaking. And so I thought, oh, perfect. Now's a great time for a bathroom break. So I get up, I go, I set my laptop by the sink, sit down, and as I've got, my underwear on my knees, I look up and I'm like, that's a green light, totally freak out before any of the, main action had happened. But I slammed the door and I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to recover from this? Like, I'm so embarrassed. And I was like, it was an honest mistake. Like, we weren't in breakout groups. It had gone back to the main group. My camera just gotten left on. Hopefully everybody was paying attention to the presenter and not looking to see what I did. And so in that moment, I had a choice. I could go into hiding and delete my entire online life, which I already spent my 20s doing. So I decided, hi, it's working. Awesome. We've got tech issues. I'm going to fix it with Ecamm Live. We're going to get this fixed up. So I had a choice. I could either delete everything and run away and hide, or I could just own it, do a little online mea culpa. I could have said it was for the gram. I wish it was. I wouldn't have had to issue my mother an apology that way. And then just keep it moving. And so that's what I did. I embraced that kind of lunar goddess future version of myself who's like, whatever, it's 2020. If it happens in 2020 and it wasn't good, it's literally a wash. Flush it down the toilet. If it wasn't good in 2020, just flush it down, let it transmute. And if it was good, then keep it moving. And what was good about that experience is that I was able to lean into that future self and be like, this version of me realizes that none of this matters and nothing, insurmountable happened. There was no malice. There was no misintent. It was just an accident. And if anybody thought to take a screenshot, all right, that's maybe out there in the world. But honestly, I've got worse stuff on my, iCloud that I send to my husband, and other entities probably already have that already. Not entities, governments. And if you do, enjoy. And if it ever gets out there, enjoy. My husband said that to me one time when I was so scared of being myself, and let alone being myself in this very real, authentic way on the internet for everybody to see, and then rewind and be like, did she really say that? Oh, yep, that's really what she said. And he goes, Autumn, you got to become the thing that you fear in the night. And it was more in terms of always being scared. And I've started to think more and more about that. I am the thing that I fear in the night. I am an empowered human being who's not afraid to make mistakes and then live with those mistakes. And that is always what scared me more than anything in the world, to get caught making a mistake. But it's not the mistake, it's the misstep, because nothing's really a mistake. It's how we move on from that, or how we incorporate that. And that's where the beauty of tuning into our future lives to give us guidance in our present life can help us heal and transmute anything that's happened in a past life. So I know I've talked more about past lives in other ceremonies and rituals. So I'll point you over to those. Do you have any questions about past lives and things like that? I'm going to answer this question. You should put them in here. And actually, yeah, so we did just get a question. Hey, Autumn, question. Do you think dreams can be glimpses into parallel lives? Absolutely. In fact, I think dream states are where most of our information comes from. And that's why sometimes when you wake up, it can feel so real because you're tuning into a different frequency. It's your conscious mind is asleep. And so it's your subconscious mind that's able to go out and explore. And it's kind of like what I was talking about in the beginning about having the ability for your brain to imagine. So during our waking lives, it's kind of hard for our brains to be imaginative, especially as adults. As kids, that's all we're trained to do is play. But as adults, it's very task oriented. We've got to do this, then this, then this, then this. And there's not a lot of time to get inventive within that. You might get to say should we go this way or this way, and throw a little bit of adventure in there. But for the most part, it's very, check the boxes. But when we're asleep, that filter is off. There's no pressure to do things the right way or the wrong way. That's why you'll sometimes fly in your dream states. It's because your conscious mind isn't well, you can't fly. It's you actually can, which for anybody who's interested in actual levitation, Dean Radin's book, Real Magic, has a chapter on, no, I'm sorry, it's not his book, Real Magic. It's his other book, Becoming Supernatural, I believe, where he talks about Saint Joseph, who could actually levitate. And he got put in prison by the Catholic Church. And apologies if I'm misremembering this version of the story. My Catholic husband has reminded me several times of the details of it. But he was a saint who could actually levitate. And part of the reason why they put him on home arrest was because they were the Catholic Church didn't discredit what he could do. They were just whoa, 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 we can't let the masses find out that they can do this. No, we got to keep this down. So it's better if we put him over here and keep things moving. All that to say, we all have these natural spiritual abilities that sometimes when we are dreaming, we can tap into much easier, and we can get these glimpses of our, parallel lives or future lives, and even past lives, so that if we are able to see that for ourselves in a dream state, and then remember it enough, or remember the feeling of it enough, even if you don't remember the details, to bring the aspects of it into your waking or your present life, that's where the magic is. Like, that's where the gold in that experience is. Because otherwise, yeah, sure, it's all well and good. Like, somebody just gave me this book, a friend. It's called In Sorcery's Shadow. And he's like, oh, I've got this book for you. I've been meaning to give it to you for a while. And it's about sorcerers and healers in Sangay in Niger. And I'm just moving back from Africa. I'm still kind of in Africa. We're in transition out of Africa. And I have been digging into this kind of stuff. And the whole time I was in Africa, I was so grounded in my present lived experience. It was so hard for me to tap into my future or past self. And it was really only through dream states where I was able to get a glimpse into what's coming for me personally, and then the collective. I hope that answers your question about dreams. Keep a dream journal. That's a really great way to do that. And then also, if you want to intentionally tap into past or future lives, a great way to do that is to first be aware of this thing that it's called the silver cord. And it's essentially this connection between your physical body, like this bag of skin that we currently reside in this physical form, and our ethereal bodies. And what happens is when we sleep or when we dream, that cord, that silver cord, kind of stretches, and it's almost like like a spaceman when they spaceman. What year is it? Astronaut, like an astronaut when they leave their spaceship, and they've got that little cord kind of tethering them. I'll do a visual like that. It always keeps you connected to your human body. So at any point you can just, if it's getting too uncomfortable or you've gone too far, you're just okay, I'm ready to wake up. And you're giving yourself permission to let that cord kind of stretch, knowing that it's not going to get severed, right? So no amount of astral travel that you can do is going to project you out of your lived form, unless that is your guiding intention, which does happen, but that has to be your guiding intention. I fully plan to, when I'm in my ripe old age, whenever my husband and I are good to go, I'll be okay, I'm going to go. Although my grandmother-in-law tried to do that for years. First time I ever met her, literally first day I met this woman, it's 15 years ago. She showed me how she was going to go out, showed me her nightgown she'd go to bed in every night. Her husband had recently transitioned and she was ready to go. Showed me where her embalmer was, where her cemetery plot was. She took me through her whole death plan, literally day one, minute one that I met her. I was wow, well, this is all really nice. You happen to pick the exact perfect person to tell your death plan to. She wasn't trying to check out unnaturally. She was older. She was ready. And I said, but I'm hoping to marry this, guy who's your grandson and maybe have some babies with them. So if you wanted to stick around for I don't know, 10, 15 years, then check out. You want to do that maybe? Just again, trying to be let's forward pace, let's future pace. And she did. She was around for 10 more years, 2000. It was about 10, 12 years before she transitioned. And I always wondered, and I haven't checked in with her about it lately, but if I did right now, she'd probably be yep. It was just a matter of her stretching out her astral cord and just kind of saying, okay, I'm ready. But there are ways to do that completely safely. Obviously during this time-space reality. Okay, so make sure that you check out the ritual. And then I'm going to talk about a few more things. Make sure you check out the ritual for more ideas on how to connect to your past life, parallel lives, and future lives. And then parallel lives, this wasn't a part of the question, but just so we're clear on what a parallel life is, that would be a past life is, in a past life, I was a geisha. Okay, what does that mean? A geisha is a woman from Japan who was basically in the sex industry, but she was very renowned for her, you're welcome. She was very renowned for her ability to make men feel at ease and to give pleasure in ways that were also respectful for her. So I would love to learn more and know more about being a geisha. I actually just asked my husband, I was dude, do you think at some point in our life, it would be appropriate to go to Japan and take a geisha class. Like, I don't know, like not cultural appropriation, obviously, but like learning the art of the geisha. Because I think there is something really magical and magical and beautiful about that. The art of seduction, the art of pleasure, in a like safe and monogamous way, at least for me. So that was like a past life. And when the first time I heard that, a celestial hat reader was like, oh my gosh, you've got this beautiful kimono and all these things. And I was like, what? Tell me more. And then she's like, well, no offense, but considering I just met you, she knew nothing about me, nothing at all. This is a blind read. She's like, you're a geisha. And then she goes on to explain it. And of course, there's only details that my spouse can confirm as being 100% accurate. But when he and I went through it later, we were like, man, that's wild. Even some of the mannerisms that are described that I would have no idea of, like, knowing or using. I got married when I was 21, folks. It's not like I've seen the world. And it was just very interesting. And so I've always kind of like leaned into that. But what did I learn from being a geisha? Well, the art of seduction and the art of pleasure and playfulness and all those things. But what are some of the things that might need healed from that? Well, a geisha's only and main primary job is to serve others. So when in that cycle does the geisha become, the energy or the person or the being in that situation that gets filled back up? Because money and status and beauty can only last so long. And to be truly loved by somebody and deeply loved by somebody is part of my past life karma that I am, healing and moving through in this cycle, like specifically with my spouse. So it's like, how did I incorporate those past life things into this one? Other examples I've heard of is of people who have past military service, who've been medical professionals in the past, or just had any kind of affinity to a certain time or place. And essentially what you're doing when you tap into a past life, the entire purpose of it is to learn what strengths you had and then what needed healing, like what isn't done yet, and what can you start to heal in this present life. A parallel life is this current version of you, but it's either the optimized version or the underperforming version, I guess. There can be multiple parallel versions of you. It's like sliding doors. Which door do you choose in any given moment? But if you're if you're tapping into a parallel existence, it's like, especially if you come up against contrast in this one, you're like, I don't like that. I'm really scared. It's like, was that a past life thing? Is that something in this current life that has happened and you're just coming up against? Or do you have no logical explanation and you're just terrified or uncomfortable? Maybe it's stemming from a parallel life. Like in a parallel life, you didn't get that job, or you didn't meet that person, or you didn't take that train and something happens. And then, or for the better, you go the other way. And if you ever get like a ping that's like, oh, I don't know, I should be doing this, but I feel like it's the right choice, follow that, because that's your intuition. And maybe that's a parallel version of you calling you into that. And then your future self is that version of you that's just like way, 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 way out there. That lunar moon goddess energy of me. She's floating. She's got purple hair and pink skin. She's looking full avatar, glitter gold glory. I don't see that happening in my lived reality in the next 60 years. Good, totally could. But the a 3D version of that, I don't see happening. So it's more like tuning into the energy of what she has to tell me to bring it back into this energy and embody it. Okay, so that's all that. And the reason that Inushkuks play into any of it is that they are portals and they can kind of take us into these new experiences. So with that, I'm going to show you guys my 2021 Inushkuk, which is not really an Inushkuk. Hi, Deepak. I don't know if I said that already. It's my candle's almost out. It's a treasure box. Okay. So 2020 was a rough year for all of us, right? Maybe not. Maybe you had a good year. I actually did. I had a pretty decent, it was like a 50-50 year. They say things are either, things are always working out for me. Things are always working out for me. And they are. Things are always working out for me. And one of the ways that I am making sure that things continue to work out for me in 2021 is keeping a spirit of playfulness in my life. So if you were here for the Sagittarius, if you were here for the Scorpio new moon, you would have seen I was at Harry Potter World. We took a safe trip to Harry Potter World, and we stayed in the Harry Potter house. I think the YouTube's up for it now on my channel, and it was so much fun. I got this Phoenix for my niece, but then my daughter tricked me into naming it. Tricked me, I shouldn't say. She named it. We named it together. Her name is Flair. And once we have a rule in our house that once we name a stuffy, it's ours and we have to keep it. And so this is Flair. She is my spirit animal and my money honey, which was part of the Scorpio new moon ritual, where you're like shoring up your you're shoring up any like lack that you might be feeling by finding your money honey. Okay, so that's a little bit of playfulness that we were looking at the Scorpio new moon, which was our last new moon a month ago. And no, I'm so sorry. Not Scorpio new moon. Was it the Taurus full moon? Anyways, been a couple. And now for this one, what we're doing, this is my treasure box. So this is my new Anushka. This is my new portal to a parallel reality. So I've been doing this thing that Abraham Hicks calls like the God box. And I usually do it with like a little tiny God box. And I have a little tiny holy triangle that's, well, it's not tiny, it's like this big, that's up on my home altar. But I'm away from my house right now. I'm traveling. And so I wanted to find a God box. So I went shopping and I was just trying to find something like little that I could put literally some note cards in, right? I just got a bunch of note cards and I was trying to find something that I could put them in. And I needed like a tiny little, I was like, I just need a little box. And I found some practical things that I could use because essentially you just need something that you could write a note on and then stick the note in and put it away. I found a couple, but none of them were, they just didn't feel magical to me. And so on like day 4 of my expedition to find this, what I did was I said, you know what, that's it. I'm going to, I want a treasure box. I'll just go look for a treasure box. Like I'm sure I could find a treasure box somewhere. So I looked all around all these stores, couldn't find it. So I finally went to the kids section and I was looking for a treasure box. And this is the only one I found, which is hilarious because like, look how big it is. And at the time I was like, okay, that's not what I need, guys, like spirit team. Hello, angels, future self, help me out. I just need a little treasure box that I can put my little wishes and desires into, right? Like I'm thinking small because my imagination is like, well, you don't need a big thing. You just need something small. Just like I didn't need a spirit animal, a little Phoenix plushie, but I have a money honey, a little money abundance buddy. And then my daughter helped me pick. There she is. So I didn't need it, but it was what was presented to me. And so this thing had, it's like one of those blind boxes. It's like for kids where you open up, you don't know what's inside of it. And you unlock all the cabinets and you find, you know, new treasures. And so it was like an $80 thing. And I really did not need all the toys. And I'm away from my kiddos right now. So they wouldn't get a chance. Plus it's kind of boy themed. But I was like, oh, I don't know. So I put it in the cart and I was kind of thinking about it. I was like, I'll look for one more thing. And if I can't find it, I'll get that. I found a few other little boxes, not what I was looking for. So the end of the story is I get to the checkout line and I'm standing in the checkout line and I'm like, do I go left or do I go right? The left line was a lot shorter and it was like a female. I was like, oh, I should probably choose this line because I'm buying some underwear and maybe it'd be like less awkward. But then the line on the right started to move quickly. And it was this young, like this 20-year-old kid who's like this young Hispanic kid who just seemed really like he was having a hard time. And I was like, well, maybe him seeing me buy some underwear might perk him up. I don't know. I was a geisha. What can I say for myself? I'm despicable. No, I just thought, whatever, my temporary discomfort of this kid seeing this mom buy some granny panties, which they're not granny panties, but you know what I mean? They're XLs. See, maybe that would give him a chuckle. Maybe that would brighten his day, even if just for a minute. So I go into the right line, I put all my stuff, and I put this giant treasure box on. It's Christmas time, so I guess like people are assuming that people are buying stuff. The store is completely empty. It's like the middle of Arlington, Virginia, and a store that should really have a lot of people. It's just kind of feeling eerie right now. So I go through the line and I said to the kid, which just happens a lot in DC, I ask people how they're doing and they're like, because not a lot of people in DC actually take the time to ask that question, let alone wait for an answer and or give any feedback on that answer. I said, hey, how are you doing? And he goes, And I was like, oh, that good? I used to be a high school teacher. This kid's about 20. So I know the vibe of like, life sucks, but I don't want to talk about it. But this was not that. This was pervasive. Like, this was a deeper sadness that I don't see in kids that young, that often. They're 20. They've got their whole life ahead of them. They've got things to look forward to. And I said, no, seriously, are you okay? You don't seem like you're doing okay. And he just like, and at that point he didn't want to be rude because he could tell that I was trying to help. But at the same time, I was like, what are you going to care, lady? Like, what do you care? And I said, no, seriously, like, sweetie, what's going on? Now I'm talking to him kind of like a mom or a teacher. And I said, is it the pandemic or what? And he's like, yeah. He's like, it's just everything. Like, everybody's poor, everybody's losing their jobs. Like, we were told it was going to get better, and now it's getting worse, and this and that. And he just kind of goes through this litany of everything that we've all been feeling for the last year. And I'm not super up to date on what's happening in the news. I figure I'll know when I need to know what's happening. That's not to say that I don't take informed action when I need to. It's just there's too much minutia and too many little things that I don't need to take stock of and process every day to actually be able to move through this world in a positive way. And in fact, I think it's sometimes to our detriment when we take in too much information, because then it takes us out of the present moment, right? That's like the note on past lives. You never want to find out what your past life was to just use it to justify whatever you're doing in this life. Oh, I can't get in a car because I died in a car in a past life. It's like, okay, well, if you know enough to know that you died in a car in a past life, this is your wake up to learn to overcome that obstacle. Not avoid cars for the rest of your life. It's just an invitation to heal that so that you can move on, right? So you can be released from that generational or past life trauma. So I said, okay, well, I was like, I get it. I totally get it. It's a weird, crazy year. I said, but you know what? At the very least, you're young. Like, you're young. You're 20 years old. You still, can go on dates someday and maybe get married and have kids and and I just like read him the list of things, because this kid was obviously really stressed and really struggling, and was probably the last person in his family with like a viable a position, like a viable job, but maybe wasn't getting the hours that he wanted. I don't know, just having a real hard time. And so as I'm leaving, I just did my best to say, hey, like, it gets better. Okay. Like, I promise it gets better. It might be dark right now, and everything might actually have to break before we can rebuild something better. But I promise you, it will get better. Okay? And I like got him to say, okay. And then I started to walk away. And I get outside, and I was like, well, at this point, I'm already the full-blown like crazy lady at Target. And they tried to give me a bag for this, but I couldn't, like, none of the bags were working. And so the bag handle broke. So I'm standing out in the corner, and I was like, you know what? I should open this up, take out all the little toys inside that I don't need, because I just wanted the box, and then go back and give him what's inside. Because I was going to find a kid, to donate all the toys to anyways, but they're blind bags. So you don't know what they are unless you like have like a picture of it. And so I go back in, and I said to the kid, I said, oh, hi, it's me. I'm back. I just need help. And he's like, oh man, is this like Karen wants to talk to the manager? I can't get rid of this lady. I said, sorry, no, my bag broke. Could you just help me? So I called the kid over to help me. And I wanted him specifically to help me because somebody else was like, oh, I can help. I was like, oh, no, well, his name is Lisandro, spelled with a Z, which is a cool name. I said, no, Lisandro can help me. Thank you, though. So he comes over and he starts helping me. And he goes, what? He's like, this is cool. He's like, wait, you're going to open it? I was like, yeah, because I just need the box. I was like, I just need my treasure box, the treasure box for something that I'm doing. I just need the treasure box and the keys. I don't need, anything else that's inside of it. And he's like, oh, okay. I said, so can you get me a bag so I can put all the little blind bags in? So he says, okay. So we start opening it, and we get all the easy to find stuff that was like in the top out. There's like this whole little shelf that was filled with stuff. So we start getting all of the easy stuff out. And then there's all these blind bags. And I said, I need to find the one that has the keys in it. And he goes, oh, so we'll just open them. I said, no. I want to leave them closed for whatever little kid, so that, their imagination runs wild. Like, what's in this? This whole theme is about imagination. So just give me a second. And I wanted them to like have their imaginations run wild with like, what could be in this blind bag? What could be in this blind bag? Because it is kind of funny and exciting. It's a silly idea to have like these blind bags where you don't know what's in it. I guess I could have also just started a YouTube channel where I'm a full grown adult opening kids' toys on the internet. Just kidding. It's weird. Nice. It's weird. So I give it to, so I put all these blind bag things in a separate bag, and then I'm opening it. I said, but I need to find the keys. And so he's helping me kind of like intuit it, and we're just like feeling the blind bags. And he's like, oh, I found them. I was like, awesome, great, thanks. Go ahead and open it up. Give me the keys. So it opens up, gives the keys. We unlock all the components, and I'm like, okay, cool, perfect. And then I take the box and I set it aside, and I start putting my groceries in, or whatever else I had just bought, my underwear, whatever else I had just bought in this, so that I could carry it back to my hotel like this like giant thing, which thankfully it's like Christmas. So everybody just assumes that I'm like buying a Christmas gift, which this is going to turn into a Christmas gift for my girls. We're going to put all of our crystals in it and everything, because it's now our big family treasure box. Like I've always had little treasure boxes and little God boxes, but this is our first like big family one. And I encourage you to get one too. And so then at the very end of it, I was like, hey, do you have any kids? And he's like, no. And I said, do you have any siblings? He goes, no. And I said, do you have any nieces or nephews or cousins? He's like, no. I go, are there any kids in your neighborhood? And he goes, no. And then I looked at him, I said, because I need to find a kid for this. And then he was like, oh, you're trying to give this to me. And I said, yeah, do you know any kids? He goes, well, I've got a 2-year-old little brother who might like it. I'm like, yes, that's why I asked, because I knew you had a sibling. Because that's part of my gift. And also this happens all the time in readings, where people will say, there's a, Andrew that is saying this, and this, can you take that, can you take this message? And they're like, no idea who Andrew is. No, never heard of him. Andrew? No Andrews. And then you get to the very end of the reading and they're like, oh, I've got a brother named Drew. Oh, Drew. And you're like, also goes by Andrew? And they're like, yeah, but nobody called him Andrew. I'm like, that's cool. He didn't, I gave me Andrew. So that happens a lot in readings. So like, I kind of am used to people being like, no, I don't have anybody. And then being like, well, I've got a 2-year-old. And you're like, yeah, that would qualify as the younger sibling. Maybe he just thought he was too young. So the point of the story is I gave it to him and I looked at him and I said, see, things are already getting better, right? And, I wasn't expecting like a confetti or, a parade to be thrown in my honor, but I made that kid's day a little bit better by thinking, I was thinking small, and the universe guided me to something a little bit bigger. And then in the biggerness, the bigness of this, I was able to make somebody's day a little bit brighter. And the punchline to this whole crazy thing is, and if you've stayed to the end, congratulations, you get to hear the punchline. The name of this chest was Ryan's World. It's a little kid on YouTube. And I had recently been talking to my brother, Ryan, who's in spirit. If you've heard me talk about him in past, members calls or details or whatever, he transitioned. He's my older brother. He was born on December 14th, and he transitioned into spirit on December 14th on his, I believe, his 31st birthday. He was born in 1972, transitioned in 2003, December 14th. And so December 14th has always been a really weird, bizarre day. And when I looked down, and I'd been talking to him leading up to this Sagittarius new moon, because I was like, I need something for the new moon ceremony. And the name of the kid whose box this is, who does these on YouTube, is called Ryan's World. And so I just thought that was a very funny, apropos, full circle moment. And so whether it's your past life or your future life or a parallel version of your best self, pulling you towards new places and experiences, or your loved ones in spirit. If you get a hunch on something, don't ignore it. Okay. All right. And so last but not least, this is just a 2021 version of a God box. And this is taken from what Abraham Hicks is kind of putting out right now. And it's like, because sometimes we need a little bit of a visual. So what I'm doing is anytime there's something that I either want more of or that I'm claiming, one that she just said that Abraham just said that I really liked is I am cashing in all of my vibrational escrow. And then I put it in one of the locked containers. I'm a 4th generation female business owner. And so that's one that I'm claiming. I'm claiming all of the vibrational currency that my mother, grandmother, great grandmother, and all of the women in both my maternal and paternal lines, have accumulated in all lifetimes across all generations. And I'm claiming that now. You can also transmute things, like I'm transmuting any negative patterns related to XYZ across all time, space, and reality. Christy Marie Sheldon is a big abundance coach gal. She's from Chicago. She's got like a real straight edge approach. And hers is, I clear, delete, and erase this across all times, dimensions, space, and reality. So that's hers. And you can put whatever you want into your treasure chest to transmute things. Another one that she uses that I really like is, so I would say delete, 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 is what would it take? So she'll say like, what would it take for XYZ? That's hers, not mine. What would it take for XYZ to happen? And so if you're trying to think of like what to put into your vibrational escrow, it's like, what would it take for, and then you state your desire. What would it take for XYZ to manifest, or what would it take for this to unfold in this set amount of time in a miraculous way. And then last but not least, the other thing that you can put in here is when good things happen, you just throw more of it in. Like, I'm going to put this in here to hang out today because I needed a phone charger. And I was, I've got like a few regular plain old ones. I was like, man, it'd be fun if they had like fun phone chargers. And I walk by and I find this one and I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's what I want more of. I want more of the yes and options in life. I'm putting my selenite crystal in. This is a new thing that I'm using for my 2020 version, my 2020 planner, which I used to use Julie. Oh, I forgot her name. I'm going to have to share her name. It's the Moon Power Planner, which I really loved, but it was just so big. And this year I'm just transitioning to like a regular old planner that's small and I can keep my pen in and I'm not losing it all the time. But something that I'm doing is as I put something in my planner on a date, I'll put UGBDR. That's a saying that my friend Adrian, our OG Lunar Manifestations member, used to say to me, and it's a Florence Scovel Shinn saying, under grace by divine right. So I do UGBDR. And I just like over the whole day. And that's like kind of protecting and ensuring that everything that I put on my calendar is happening when and how it should. And so that's here. Oh, and I got this crystal wand up at the Crystal Zen shop in Annapolis. It is a female-owned company, and check them out. If I can find your social media, I will tag you in this. Zen Crystals. And I apologize, I forgot your name. Her niece was there that day, or was it your cousin? There was a young woman there watching her, and I was like, yes, female business owners, claim your abundance. We also joked about how like Capricorns are very straight to the point. And I was like, I could also just use this as like a light worker, like zombie vampire. No, state 11 light. Okay, I'll just use it. Anyways, this is going in here. So I hope that you have a treasure chest of all of the things that are going well for you this year and that you want to go well for you this year. Thank you so much for sticking with me with our tech issues. And let me know in the comments below what you think about all this stuff and what you'd like more of. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go to goldenotter.us to get all of our info, all of our podcasts, mine, and rituals and information for how to become a Lunar Manifestations Moon Circle member, which we are opening the doors to in 3 days. Actually, we might even be down to like 48 hours. This is going well and it's all happening. Okay. In love and light, autumn.